Buying a used car will always suck because you don't want to get ripped off and you don't want to end up in a car that you totally regret buying. Now in this video, I'm going over the 3 key steps on how to buy a used car from a dealer so that you can buy one knowing that you're getting the best value possible. If you just found this channel, I'm Jason with Honest Finance and I make a lot of videos on different financial topics. So if you are interested, feel free in subscribing or at least give this video a like. And now on to buying a used car. So if you're shopping for a used car, there are definitely some advantages over buying new to consider. I mean, think about the fact that most new cars lose about 30 to 40% of their value in just the first 5 years. And when most of these cars are 5 years old, they're probably only going to have about 60,000 miles on them, so that is a really good deal considering it's 40% cheaper than it was when it was new. Think about it like this. Would you rather buy a brand new crappy little commuter car with roll-up windows for $15,000? Or would you rather buy a used car with 60,000 miles for the same price with every single feature on the planet? Upgrades depreciate the most on new cars, so if you want Bluetooth, leather seats, and all that kind of stuff, then buying used is something to really consider. And not to mention, the used car is probably a lot safer too because it was more expensive to begin with. Keep in mind that the best value for a used car is when they're only about 2 to 8 years old and they only have 24 to 96,000 miles on them. This is the best time to buy a car because it'll be plenty reliable and the worst of the depreciation is over with. Now obviously your budget is important here, so make sure to buy a car that you can afford, but just keep in mind that its best value is going to be before it hits 96,000 miles. And sometimes buying a new car like a year-end one might not be that much more expensive than a used one, so it is something to consider. But if you are open to buying a new car, then you can watch this video right here. Now you've got to understand there are 3 key steps in order to get the best value in buying a used car from a dealer. You've got to do a lot of research on the car, you've got to get the best price for the car, and you've got to get the best financing for the car as well. Now when it comes to buying a used car, research is huge because they still cost a lot of money, and the last thing you want is some random repair bill right after you buy the car. You'll want to check Edmunds.com, TrueCar.com, and Kelley Blue Book for the best online research for car buying. These websites will help you decide which car is right for you and what you should be paying for it. The first used car I ever bought was a huge mistake because I didn't do enough research before I bought the car. I paid about $3,000 too much for that car, and I found out after the fact that it was a rental car and it had been smoked in. And to all you smokers out there, do not smoke in your car because the resale value will go down because of the smoking. Now obviously you need to research the car's safety and its resale value, but also pay attention to its repair costs and the maintenance schedule as well. Trust me, you don't want to buy a used car that's right on the line to needing a bunch of repairs done. And you'd be surprised at how many cars out there don't require any maintenance until 100,000 miles, so keep that in mind when you're doing your research. Cars are so advanced these days that the 100,000 mile stigma needs to end for most of the cars out there. And also, before you buy a car, make sure to call up your car insurance and find out how much more it's going to cost you for the new car that you're looking into. You don't want to go buy a car and then after the fact realize that your car insurance costs way more because of the car that you just bought. So just call up your insurance ahead of time so that you know how much more or less the car is going to cost to insure. So once you've done your research and you know exactly which cars you want to go look at, then go check them out at a few dealerships. You'll want to visually inspect the car for any dings, scratches, stuff like that, and you'll want to take it for a good test drive as well. And it's a good idea while you're test driving to check what's called the engine run time because this is going to give you the best indicator of the type of miles that have been driven on the car. So let's say that you're driving a truck with only 50,000 miles on it, but it's got an engine run time of 3,300 hours. All you're going to do is take 50,000 and divide that by 3,300, which is going to give you 15, which is how many miles per hour that car has averaged over the course of its life. And in this case, 15 would be a bad indicator that the truck has been to a lot of work sites or that it's done a lot of city driving. But let's say that the average came back at like 30 or 40 miles per hour, then that's a lot better to me knowing that the car has done a lot of highway and freeway miles instead of city. Most of the newer cars these days do log engine runtime, so just pay attention if you're looking at a newer car. Here's just a quick look at the log that's currently running in my car. No matter what time of year it is, make sure to check the AC and the heater just to make sure you don't have any surprises when you actually need to use them. And make sure to check all the controls in the car and even turn up the radio to make sure that the speakers aren't blown, because trust me, this happened to me when I bought a used car and that sucked. You'll also want to hop out of the car and make sure that all the lights are working, because trust me, this is the only chance that you're going to be able to get the dealer to fix these types of problems. Now, if it's wintertime when you're looking at the car, you're not going to be able to tell if it's been smoked in because it's too cold outside, but you can at least check the ashtray for any signs of use if it has one. I bought my used car in January and I had no idea that the car had been smoked in until about 4 months later when I was deep cleaning the car and I found a cigarette butt in the middle of it. Now that just pissed me off because the salesman told me that the car hadn't been smoked in, which it obviously had been. Now once you've found a few cars that you're legitimately interested in buying, ask to look at the Carfax or buy one yourself. Most dealers will already have the Carfax available, so hopefully you don't even have to buy it. The Carfax will give you a really good representation of the car's history, but keep in mind that some stuff can still squeak through the cracks. It'll tell you how many owners the car's had, the status of the title, and it'll even tell you how the car was registered to those owners. So if you find out that the car's had like 10 owners, then that's a huge red flag because the car's been around the block way too many times. Now I found out later with my used car that it was actually registered as a rental car, which I'm not down with because we all know how we treat rental cars. If I'd looked at the Carfax like I should have, then I would have realized that it was a rental car and I would have looked into something else. I would stick with a car that's had less than 2 owners that drove it as a personal vehicle. And if it's a lease trade-in, then this is a good thing too, because it probably implies that the car has really low miles and it's been well maintained. And if the car has a branded title, you're going to want to do a little more research on it to find out what exactly happened to the car so that you know if it's worth the risk in buying it. Now, once you're confident that you're buying the right used car, ask to take it to your local mechanic so that you can have a few things looked at. And if you're looking into a certified pre-owned car, it's pretty justifiable that the tests have already been checked, but it's always a good idea to get a third party's opinion because they're not invested in the sale. This can cost up to $100, but trust me, it's worth it, especially if you're looking at a car with a lot of miles. The first thing you'll want to have checked is your computer because you're going to want to see if it has any trouble codes on it. And then after that, you're going to want to check what's called the drive cycle monitoring just to make sure that the computer hadn't been reset to hide any problems. Now just check under the car for leaks and wear and tear, and then also have them check under the hood for fluids and belts and stuff like that. And once again, now is the time to double check everything just to make sure you don't have any surprises down the road. And if the car's got any normal repairs that it needs, like tires or brakes, then definitely have the dealership pay for it because it's in their best interest to still get the sale. Because if the dealership has a shop, they can fix all of this stuff for cheap because it's at their cost. And normal wear and tear is going to have to be fixed regardless, so just have them do it now while it's cheaper for you. And at this point, if you do find any huge red flags with the car, then it was probably worth paying that $100 to have it checked because nobody wants a problematic car. Now once you've found the right used car, let's cover price because that's kind of a big deal. And if you've made it this far, could you please give the video a like because that will help me out a lot. Thanks. Used cars are a bit harder to know how much the dealer paid for them, but as an average, just figure in about 10%. But if you're looking at a really old car, the numbers are going to be all over the place. So the only way to know if you're getting a good price for a used car is by checking the websites that I listed earlier. The average price paid is a really good representation of what others have paid for the same car in that same region. But just keep in mind that demand has a lot to do with the value of the car that you're looking at. So if you live in snowy Utah like I do, then you'd understand that 2-wheel drive SUVs don't sell very well. The 4-wheel drive models is what everyone is looking for up here. So unless I go down to Vegas to buy a car, I've got to understand that that demand is stuck in my local area. But if you are willing to go outside your region to buy a used car, then you're probably going to find the best deal, but it is a bit of a hassle to have to drive 400 miles just to test drive a few cars. Now once you know the average price paid in your area, you're going to want to make sure that you buy the car for less than that average. Understand that dealers have bills to pay too, but trust me, it's a lot better just to give them a quick $500 rather than $3,000 if they were willing to sell the car regardless. So at this point, just tell the dealer that you want to pay $500 over what the low average price was paid for that car. And be sure to mention any dents, dings, or anything that you want fixed at this point, because they'll either fix the problems or they'll just charge you less for the car to have the problem solved. Now the key to negotiating is to be confident and polite because nobody wants to have to deal with an asshole. And if you've got a timid personality, then I would highly suggest faking your confidence because you're always going to get screwed when you're trying to buy a car. Now, if you do need a little more help when it comes to negotiating a car deal, check out this video right here. Now, once you've got the best price for the car, it's time to cover financing, which can really screw you if you're not paying attention. The financing department has even more ways to make the dealer money, so you have to be paying attention to everything that they're doing. Now, as far as interest rates go, dealers can actually get you really good rates just so long as they're not taking a cut. Most dealerships can get you really good rates from all the big lenders, so just go ahead and use them because it's a lot more convenient. Now, financing and interest and stuff like that can get really techy, so if you need some help, just watch these videos right here. So once you've got your financing all settled, the salesman's going to offer you extended warranties and stupid carpet cleaning and stuff like that. But you've got to understand that all of these services are negotiable, so do not pay full price for any of them. And if you are interested in any of these services, just tell the salesman confidently that you want to pay invoice for them. And trust me, he'll probably sell it to you at cost because it's most likely still in his best interest to get the sale. Even if he doesn't get a commission, there's still monthly and quarterly goals that are still going to be worth it to him. Now, as far as fees go, just understand that these are sneaky ways that the dealer can make more money. The only fees that are legitimate are taxes and license and registration. That is it. Now, taxes just plain suck, but there's no way of getting out of them. But if you have to pay sales tax on anything, then that's how you can tell that it's a fee, because you're never gonna have to pay tax on a tax. So if you've got some stupid doc fee that's like $300 plus tax, then that's a fee and you can get out of it. Just tell the salesman confidently that you do not want to pay it. Now, if the salesman tells you that the fee can't be removed because it has to be documented, then just have him compensate with the price of the car or your trade-in so that you can get out of it. Just have him either lower the price of the car for $300 or add $300 to your trade-in. That way the fee is at least documented, but now you can get out of it in a different area. And trust me, at this point, the salesman is not going to love you, but you're too far into the game for them to lose the sale. Now, once you've got everything signed and documented, then you can truly drive away knowing that you just got the best deal on a used car possible. Now, once again, I'm Jason with the Honest Finance channel. If you are interested in any of this type of content, feel free to subscribe or at least give this video a like. That's all.